Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Bear with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to episode 94 of CPG Vibes. As you can see, my usual partner in crime, Wade, is not here. However, we have our fill-in co-host for this week, and now I think his third time back, maybe fourth time. I'm losing count. Jake Karls, the co-founder of Mid-Day Squares and Rainmaker of Mid-Day Squares. How you doing, buddy?
Alex, Friday, the darkness is setting in where I'm from in Montreal. It's pitch black, snow's coming. I'm in winter gear already. I'm fired up. I'm excited to talk some CPG stuff, but I don't know. I think it's been a long week, man. It's one of those weeks where you have a lot of ups and downs, not just the ups, but not just the downs either. So just grinding through. Today was a tough day with from 7 a.m. just nonstop on the go. So I'm excited to chat with you, excited to chat with everyone listening to the podcast, and let's have a good time.
Exactly. Well, this is a good way to end the week on a relaxing note and connecting with the CPG community. But I feel that, brother. I had on the personal side had COVID last week, traveling to San Francisco. So our whole family was out basically because of it. I live in LA, so went up to San Francisco, drove both ways with COVID, massive headaches, and made it back. And I think this whole week I've been recovering. But one thing that Jake and I spoke about is about just keep going. You know, even when things are down, that's not a reason to, to submit to whatever is bothering you. It's about powering through, staying positive, being mentally strong. And so even though I've been feeling partially like shit this week, I've been powering through and have had a successful week, even not feeling great, by just keep going, having meetings, driving around, doing sales, and connecting with people on higher levels. So keep going.
Alex, I think the theme of keep going is super important for anyone, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a professional, whether you're unemployed. And what I mean by that is the only time you actually start failing in life, actually real failure, is the moment you stop trying. It's the moment you stop actually momentum shifting and you start to just fall backwards. And I think that even though you had a tough week, that your body wasn't feeling well and all that stuff, and you were sick, you still pushed, because that's what you do when you're trying to make something happen. You still show up, even if it's not 100%, you're still showing up. And I think people always say you have to be 100% all your time. That's not true. That it's almost impossible. But if you show up every day, people will respect you. People will respect you. They'll feel that energy. And you showing up today, even though you're not feeling great, is a sign of respect for the community, is a sign of respect for me. And I just think that showing up is this big quality, and to keep going forward is how you never fail, actually.
Absolutely. And then you definitely are doing that in your personal life and also your business. You're showing up, you're putting in the effort, you're doing the work, and the results are here. So the results are there, I should say. So so let's talk about a couple laundry list items here. So number one, if you'd like to sponsor, and by the way, the sponsor for this episode is Genuine Ginger, which is a social media boutique agency. So we're going to talk more about Michelle Tyler and what she provides. And if you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, make sure to reach out, cpgvibes100@gmail.com, which I normally have Wade putting this in, but now I'm kind of multitasking here, and hopefully I don't misspell anything, but there it is in the comments. You can reach out to us for that. I think I misspelled it, but you know how to spell it, cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And also if you'd like to be a guest, make sure to reach out. We're doing a bunch of new segments, new programs. This is one of them, right? We're kind of testing things here. We want to be different. We want to add something new to the show versus just having a guest on and talking about their product for 50 minutes. We want to really give back to the CPG community. So the name of this episode, if you probably noticed, if you haven't noticed, is Ask Jake Anything. and I really want to give him the floor, um, partially because, hey, he knows what he's doing. He's running a successful company. Number two, it gives me a little bit of a rest this week. So that's part of it. But yeah, just ask him anything. He's here to answer your questions. This is a really primo opportunity. And to fill in those gaps when there's no questions, we'll chat about CPG, chat about what's going on, and take it from there. So make sure to fill up the comments with your questions. I know we have some general comments here. We have Lisa Wu. She discovered MDS. She actually lives in, I think, Maryland or Virginia. And she's out there in the DMV. Got Kenny Hausman. It's going to be epic. We got Berg.
Legends. These are all legends.
Exactly. And we got Gavin Conkle. Of course, when there's Kenny, there's going to be Gavin. So they're both here. They're the duo. So yeah, so make sure to shout out with some questions for Jake. But while we're waiting for those, tell us, Jake, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, I think right now, it's holidays. It's December. It's that month where, at least in our business, we're kind of like winding down because we're not a product for Christmas holidays. We're actually we're actually on the comeback in like January when it's better for you and you want something to get back on your spunk. But we're kind of just closing all the nuts and bolts for the year and getting things done, getting all the execution done that needs to happen, all the modeling that we need to put forward. And yeah, we're a bit tired right now. It's the end of the year, and you feel that like that tired energy, and you want to just rest and recharge. So I'm excited for the holidays. I'm going to go to Florida to get some sun because I'm pale as nails. And to the idea of going to Florida is to simply just sit and do nothing and actually let the recharge happen and rest. Usually when I'm on vacation, I go see everybody I know in those regions and I go hang out, I go have fun, I party, I live, I do work a little bit. This one is an absolutely nothing to do, just zero. Enjoy the time with my wife and have real conversations, be present, no social media and all that jazz.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think, I talked to a colleague of mine. I will leave him nameless for right now, but he is a kind of like the CEO kind of guy that manages different companies. He's brought in to turn companies around. He's turned around several companies from the brink of disaster to successful and being acquired. And he's been working nonstop for, God, I think 15 years at this point.
Wow.
And then I was just talking to him and I noticed his energy level was especially high, his focus, his presence. And he just said, oh, and I called him coincidentally when he just got back from a 7-month trip. I don't, you don't have to take 7 months off, but he took 7 months off going to like 5 different countries. He went to like Nepal, he went to Paris, he went, Southeast Asia, he went everywhere. And he just said, like, whatever you can do, force yourself to take time off. And like my DNA is I don't like taking time off. I like to go, work on something because I feel like when I'm doing nothing that I'm not being constructive, I'm not being useful. And so it's like kind of this mentality which is great because it drives us to do things, but it also could drive us into burnout by saying I always got to be doing something. So I think what you're saying is you're just really almost, you're almost forcing yourself is the wrong word, but you're really getting in that mentality of do nothing, wind down because this is the time to do it. So you better do it so you can recharge.
Well, Alex, it's great that you bring this up. I think it's important. This year was a really interesting year. It was a year of a lot of ups and downs, like I discussed before. But I actually went through a burnout in May of this year, and it was a real burnout. It was a 37-day burnout, so I couldn't do anything for 37 days other than therapy and breathing drills. Basically, my body just wasn't functioning. I literally went too far, and what I realized after that was I had all kinds of health complications, like not like serious ones, but just minor things that started noticing. And I realized that there's 2 triggers in my life that I know when I'm on the verge of a burnout. I mean, it made me realize that when I have deep fatigue and no motivation, that's when I start to realize that I'm onto something bad. And then the second thing is slowly being rude to people I care about. And it's not purposely, it's that my exhaustion and anxiety are high. and I take it out on those people. So those two triggers now that happen, the moment I feel them, I instantaneously book a therapy session is number one, um, to come up with a game plan. The second thing is I execute on a time off. So maybe it's 4 days, 5 days. It doesn't have to be that you go to a destination. It doesn't have to be that you leave your, your city. But I take a time off to step back and not work and not focus on that. And what it does is it actually allows me to rethink and reprocess and relax. When you relax your body and you let it actually sleep, you eat well in those things. You actually like think, you do creative thinking that's not pressured thinking. You actually clear your mind, and then you come back stronger than ever, and that burnout is slowly disappearing because the burnout, people ignore it until they actually go through it, and it's very dangerous because your burnout might be different than my burnout, but the burnout is real, and the burnout could last for 10 minutes or it could last for 10 years. You don't know what it's going to do to your body. So for anyone listening, whether you're in a high stress job or you're in a high stress, entrepreneurship journey, be very careful and very listen to your body when it tells you signs that you haven't seen necessarily before.
Exactly. It's interesting because sometimes you really don't know how deep in that you are. Like you just don't, because you desensitize your your own body to it. You're like, oh, that's just shit that I feel every day, and you take it as like something normal when it actually isn't normal and it's not good for you. And so, like, I mean, I've on and off battled with anxiety, with just not so much fatigue but anxiety, and then getting pains in my body because of that fight or flight, going through the fear, going through the
Yep.
anger, going through being upset, handling the day-to-day of handling a business. And in the last month or so, I've really trained myself to just take it easier. And I'm not saying maybe I'm working less, but being slower, being slower with everything, being slower with conversations with people, with thinking through solutions to problems, to not just finding the solution and trying to fix it as quickly as possible. And that whole approach of being slower with everything, and also not getting as upset at people, not
Yep.
taking things personally, because that also affects us, emotionally, bodily, mentally. We just feel terrible. It's like you're drinking a poison, hoping the other person dies, right? When you're upset at someone else. So that mentality, and I've been doing that with a life coach, plus being slower, I feel the effects in a positive way on my body. That pain that was lingering for a year, 2 years, I mean, like you said, these things can take years to recover from, is magically gone. Now it does come back, okay, when I get back in that mental pattern, but I'm much quicker to catch that pattern and be like, I'm going back into it. I'm going too fast. I'm not breathing. I'm not taking my time, or I'm not handling the situation well. I'm being too emotional. And I think that's made a huge difference in how I feel and my vitality. So I think that's been a game changer for me.
Stress is evil. It could be very evil when it hits badly, and it could physiologically change things, and it could also mentally change things. Right. So, I think that what I notice about stress is when I know it's coming, I breathe, man. Like I breathe because we're trying to build stuff. You and I specifically, and people listening to this are trying to all do something innovative. We're trying to make something happen, a dream come true, and you're willing to do anything to make it come true, right? You're willing to put your life out there. You're willing to sacrifice things. So there is a lot of subconscious stress and pressure and anxiety building up that you don't even realize. So when it gets there, you got to be very careful because it creeps up very, very fast. And when it's there, it attacks. And if it attacks, it could attack physically, it could attack mentally. And yeah, so I just think that, like, surround yourself with good people, speak to people, be open about it, be vulnerable, transparent. It's not cool not to be transparent. It's cool to be transparent and vulnerable. And you'll feel a lot better when you release bricks off the shoulders and you just calm down a little bit. And I'm a high energy cheerleader, Bunny. You know me. I'm crazy. I'm fast. I talk fast. I'm excited. I'm passionate. But I've learned that I need to balance that with sustaining my energy. I don't want to be 60 years old and not be able to have the energy. I want to be 60-year-old and thriving. That's 30 years from now for me, but I want to be killing it. I don't want to be crunched, out of breath, can't talk, anxiety. So now's the time to work on it today, not tomorrow, not the next day, not 2 years, today. And that's how you'll win life.
Exactly. Exactly right. Well said. So, like, one thing we're talking about just with stress, which I think is a really good subject, is a lot of it is, I mean, I would say, God, maybe if I had to guess, 85% of it is self-inflicted, right? Like
Hmm.
shit's going to happen. It's going to come at you all day, man. You know, you guys have been through the ringer in the past with the barcode issues, with everything we've talked about on the show, on the size changes, on, you know, raising more money, like all this shit. It's just going to happen. And 85% is how you handle the stress. And one thing I go to a life coach, which I've been open about, and I'm actually going to post his profile. He's not a sponsor on the show, but I just love this guy. I've been going to him for about 8 months. Is Dan Carruthers, and he owned a CPG business for many years, and he went through the trials and tribulations. He eventually stepped away from the business, and you know, there was a lot of stress. He was under acting in that way, right? Of just being under stress, getting upset, and not really being himself all the time. And so he decided after leaving the company, which is Stone and Skillet, that he went into CPG life coaching. You know, he went to life coaching in general, but he landed more so and resonated with CPG people because he went through what they're going through. So he really resonates. And one big thing that I learned from him is thinking. Like thinking can be great and you can think of new ideas and be very creative, but it also could be our worst enemy as well. Overthinking things, or something happens and you just, humans have a way where we recycle things in our mind. Something bad happened. Keep talking about, keep thinking about it. And all you do is cause damage. So like a tremendous amount of the stress that I've brought on myself in the past has been thinking about something that has really bothered me and not being able to come to terms with it, or not letting it go, or both. So like you know, it's hard. You know, it's like telling, you know, it's like telling a dog, like, don't bark, right? Like, don't think of something, you know, and then you're going to think even more about it, right? But like, you can catch yourself to think less and not recycle something that really doesn't serve you. And that's what it's all about. Is this serving me right now? And so for me, I think about that and say, if what I'm thinking about is not serving me and my life and my wellness, just let it go. And like doing more of that in that practice, you'll let it go more and more and more. So
Yeah, thinking is both positive and negative. So I definitely think it's the way you look at it.
exactly right. Yeah, it's perspective. So yeah, just to reset the room, this is you know, an Ask Jake Anything. And I think people are listening more than asking. So if you'd like to ask some questions for this gentleman here, the gentleman in the hat and the sunglasses that co-runs a chocolate empire, it's becoming a bigger and bigger empire. And I saw, you know, the new Wonka is coming out, man. Do you have do you have a cameo in there or something?
No, but it's definitely going to help business because the kids are going to get excited for chocolate, and parents love our product because it's cleaner, right? So that's going to be something big for us.
Awesome. Love that. By the way, Lori Volk, can you put up Dan's contact info? Here it is. That's his LinkedIn. So you can just copy and paste that. I think Gavin also has spoken to Dan, so he knows Dan. I don't know if he's hired him or not, but he's definitely spoken to him. So Gavin, thank you for saying that. So okay, and then we have a lot of stuff going on in the CPG world, right? I mean, we kind of dived into more of the mental aspect, but we have Nosh that's going on right now. We have BevNet Live, which is on Monday and Tuesday. We're recording this on Friday, December 1st. So we have literally Nosh ending today, and we have BevNet Live next week. And that's another thing too, is I just decided not to go, not because I don't love the guys there and the gals there. It's just I needed the time off, man. I couldn't push myself to be there.
Well,
So yeah,
that's another thing. That's another thing is going to everything is tiring, and there's some great events that happen and great things that go on. But if you go to everything, you'll burn yourself out too. You travel all over the place. You do all this stuff. You don't need to be everywhere. You show up to things that make a difference for you. And Bednet and Nosh is great, but you know if you can't go, you can't go. And if you're too tired, you can't go. Then that is what it is.
exactly. It becomes kind of like all harm and no good if you're already tired and you push yourself to go because of ego. I need to go. I need to do this. I need to show up. You end up not being of service to yourself, and you end up not being of service to others if you are not, you know, don't have the energy to be at that, you know, event. There is a question here And we got our first question from Allison Clay. She's out in Florida. What helped, this is for Jake, what helped you to brand yourself in the way you have? The sweats, the hats, the sunglasses, the cool look, the cool dude look. What led you to land there?
So it's a great question. So I think that for branding yourself, I think it's super important to just be yourself. I think for me, like if you look what I'm wearing, I'm literally in a comfy shirt and Nike pants and shoes, and I wear it everywhere. Whether it's a board meeting, whether it's an investors meeting, whether it's a journalist, it doesn't make a difference. I think when you are yourself and you actually wear the stuff that you believe in that represents you, you feel good, you feel your best, you act your best. And for me, glasses is a huge thing. I don't even need glasses, thank God, but I wear funky glasses, whether it's yellow, green, red, blue, doesn't make a difference. And whether I'm indoors or outdoors, I don't care because for me, that's true to me and I feel good about it. So that's my swag. And I think another lesson is I always wear one piece of Midday Squares no matter where I am. It's very important because you're always campaigning, it's free marketing, and it feels good representing something that you built.
Exactly. Very well said. And I think you say this all the time in your posts, man. And I love this about you, Jake, is just unapologetically being yourself. Just let it out, let it all out. It's good. So where are you at right now? People are
I'm
probably
in
wondering.
I'm in a lobby of a building, and there's people here. There's people here. So hold on one second.
All right. So while he's walking
So,
around, oh, go
so
ahead.
yeah, so
Keep going.
no, so I'm in a lobby and there's people here, so I have to walk around to avoid the communication. But I'm going. I have an event for one of my friends, tonight, and it's one for his friends. He's bringing it all together. We haven't seen in a long time, so I'm going to that. And again, this is something that I'm actively doing more of this year. Is also seeing my personal life as something that's important. And what I mean by that is spend time with people you care about and do things. I know it sounds cheesy, but at the end of the day, I didn't do that for 5 years. I actually ignored that. I ignored everything. I ignored going to see friends and all this stuff. And now I'm trying to actually relive an experience and enjoy. And I do go to it and I actually have so much fun. My phone's gone. It's not on me. It's basically in my pocket the whole time. It's on silent. And I just listen to the conversations instead of me being the show and performing and building and hyping people up. I'm there to just be present and listen. And it's the best thing in the world because it's refreshing to watch others do that. Right. And yeah, I'm kind of reliving that now. It's nice. So tonight I'm going to an event like that. It's basically like 10 of us in at a big dinner.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, have an awesome time. And just on that note, the show is ending early at 3:15 Pacific Standard Time, 6:15, so that Jay can make it to his plans on time. But yeah, like that's a really good topic. Is like you don't always have to be on. You know what I mean? Like you could let others talk. Like when I say you, anyone, right? Like what you're doing tonight. Like you're asking people, you're hanging out with people, you're listening to them instead of always being on and always, I got to be the guy that brings all the energy to the room. And so I think like talking less, listening more, all that kind of jazz, not only is good for you to grow as a person, but you also just conserve energy,
Oh,
and big time,
tremendous.
you
And
know.
and I've been doing it more often lately, and it feels good. To be honest with you, my true character is I like to be the energy, I like to be the hype, I like to be the momentum of a room. But there's times where you just got to sit and be there present and listen. And when you don't talk, it's like it's meditation. It's the weirdest thing for me because I sit there and I watch other people tell the stories. And I love hearing stories because I do storytelling all the time. And when I watch others do it, I actually learn from them. So I'm almost like at these events, I'm like a student. And it feels really good because when I was a student in university, I was horrible. I didn't listen one thing. I was academically horrible. I did 62% average, I think. And yeah, so like this is like I'm a student of humans again, and it's really enjoyable. So I recommend it to everybody. If you're that person that's the performer, the energizer person, or the one that always gives a lot of energy to others, take time to try and experience moments where you literally are the listener and that's it. You're not the entertainer.
100%, 100%. And like I've noticed too, right? The people that I like most and the people that I want to spend time with are ones that listen, like truly listen, they're active listening, where They hear what you say, they acknowledge what you say, and they respond thoughtfully, reflective off of what you just said, either with a question or a comment or some feedback, or they're a story of their own that relates and ties in to your story. So, like, being likable is obviously, not saying, you have to kiss someone's ass, but being likable and listening to people also helps you so much, whether it's a friendship, you get so much more out of the friendship, or the business relationship. And so, like, I'm in sales, right? I mean, you're basically in sales, right? That's part of it. You're operating, you're in PR, you're in sales. That I think the true salesperson is asking questions and listening, not just talking.
Yeah, I think sales has to do with, you know, listening, but also making people feel something. I think it's not always about the numbers. I think the numbers are extremely important for when you're pitching a certain thing because yes, you need data and you need fact-based selling to a certain extent, but I think every human wants to feel something. We're born to want to feel love, to care. And if you think about the human nature aspect of life, you'll actually be able to become a better salesperson. You'll become a better PR person simply because you're hitting on points that matter to people. What matters is obviously getting the sales and getting the velocities and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you're still human to human conversation. And if you're not going to interact human to human, then people are eventually just going to either move on from you or not want to deal with you because at the end of the day, it's boring to hear numbers all day. It's boring to watch Excel spreadsheets all day. It's boring to see the same pitch deck style every single time. So what makes you great is just you being you. And I know we discussed this earlier, but it really makes a difference when you're in a sales meeting and you're just having fun being you because people feel that energy and that energy makes you attractive. It makes your brand more attractive. So like I go to sales meetings. I'm not in sales necessarily, but my sales team asks me to come because all I do is I'm my funky self and the buyers like it because they're like, this guy's whacked out of his mind, but he's authentic and it feels good. So it makes everyone else in the room feel a little bit less strict or less serious. So I think that's sales to me is just make friends.
So how are you? A question that I have is like, what are ways that you help people feel? Like, what are some things that you do in those conversations?
So like let's say in an investors meeting or a sales pitch for a retailer, it's typically serious. You're pitching a transactional item, whether it's an investor investing for equity of your company or debt for your company, it's serious, right? So to lighten the mood, I say things that I would say to my friends. I say things, I blurt things out. Sometimes I'll say to my partner, "Did you just fart?" Like things that are just like that lighten up the space because when you lighten up the space, you create an environment where people can feel more comfortable to be themselves. And when someone's themselves, there's less pressure, there's less anxiety, there's less stress in the room. It's more just like, what's going on here? Why are we all agenda driven? Why does it always have to be this, that? Why can't we flow a little bit? It's like going on a date. You're not trying to tell the person every single thing you do for the first 10 minutes. It's like get to know each other a little bit, have some fun. You're both there for some reason. There is a transaction or some sort of thing happening. But at the end of the day, like you're there to have fun, be human. And my tip to you is just try things that might make you look bad, but at the end of the day, if you never try them, you'll never know, right? So I've tried things as dancing, yelling, screaming, blurting out karaoke. I'll never forget. Recently we were in a big meeting with a large retailer. I'm not gonna say their name, and I love them, but we were in the meeting pitching them on a couple of products, and I'll never forget. It got really serious at one point, and I saw not tensions, but the energy was going up in terms of like it was getting like pitchy, salesy. And I just started saying, I want it that way. Tell me why you ain't nothing but a. And I started singing Backstreet Boys, and everyone started singing because it created a human experience. It didn't have to be so number driven, so salesy, and that changed the whole vibe of the meeting. Everything went well from there, and I took a risk. I never did that before, but that's me, and it could have went really bad, but everything's irrelevant if you don't try. Like we said before, you fail if you don't try. You don't fail if you try. You could learn from it at least.
Yeah. Wow. That's a hell of a story. I also remember, I'll never forget this. It was a video you posted where you were pitching one of your early investors. It was a very crucial meeting to secure capital. And I mean, you can tell the story better, but how you came in, you were dancing.
Oh,
Tell
I gotta
everyone.
find that video. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
funny. I'm actually doing I'm doing a sponsorship for a company out overseas, and they asked me for that specific video yesterday. They said we want to do something funny and talking about like how you're crazy entrepreneur. But
right.
long story short, we were going into our first ever adventure meeting for investor, actually first ever in our business. And we flew out to their boardroom and it was all serious and everything. And I said to my partners before we go in, I said, we're here. Let's do something crazy. Let's be truly who we are. Let's not come in like every other person comes in, pitching, nervous. I said, let me take the lead. And they're like, what are you going to do? I was like, just follow the lead. And I had a boom box with me. I think it was a small boom box. And I blasted this weird, like Moroccan song called Iowa. And I came into the boardroom dead serious. Everyone's dead serious. And I started singing and slapping my hands, dancing around the room, yelling and going crazy, handstands, the whole 9 yards. And they were just like confused. And then they were like laughing hysterically. And it just set the tone. After that, everything became less pressure, less stress. And I'll never forget. It got my dancing career started in terms of CPG world. I started to dance everywhere, whether it was retail, whether it was investors, whether it was journalists, whether it was new team members. That became my shtick or my thing where I felt like, I need to have fun, and fun is what everyone craves in life. So just give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah, brother. I mean,
We did get the investment, by the way. We got it. So
woo!
it worked.
A lot of things are working, but that was, man, it did work for sure. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's really just, I mean, folks, you're hearing it here. It's something that's intuitive, right? It's in our minds. We're born with it, which is just like be yourself and don't feel like
Yep.
you have to impress others. And typically, like what I've found out, when you try to be someone else, and you've said this before on our show, Jake, you try to be someone else, you try not to be yourself, you try to impress someone, it comes off unauthentic, and people
Yep.
pick that up from you, and you're less likely to achieve your goal, whether it's connecting with that person, whether it's getting a deal done. So people love authentic people. We respond to that. We feel it. We feel it in the conversation. And if the person does not like you after you show who you are and you're just like being yourself, they're not for you. Like it actually saves you time and resources. Like then just don't hang out with them. They're not meant to be with you. So I
Yeah.
love that concept of what you're doing, man. And more people should do it, like in your own style, in your own way, and
Yes, in your
you'll
own
get
way.
you'll get a lot further.
But I think, Alex, I think the power of authenticity is simple. It does two really big things. When you are authentic, you relieve pressure off your shoulders because you're not telling a lie anymore. You're being yourself. So there's nothing to hide. The
Hmm.
second thing is it builds trust. It's the fastest way to build trust with your teammates, your friends, your colleagues, your investors, your board members, your retailers. Authenticity breaks through the world of trust very quickly because when you're authentic, someone can either say, I like this person or I don't. And I feel closer to this person or I don't. It's that simple. When someone's real with you and vulnerable, you feel closer to that person. It's that simple. It's a no-brainer. And I think that most people are just scared what others think of them. But the worst part is these same people that are scared, they're just waiting for the moment, but they're going to wait their whole life if they don't take that initial risk. And if they don't do it, they'll always ask, what if I did? Or how long can I live this life that's not really true to me? And I did that for 23 years of my life. It was horrible. I felt like I was in jail. And the moment I started being myself was freedom. It didn't necessarily mean I was winning bigger, but I was winning in terms of freedom. And freedom allows you to just feel better overall.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, man, I mean, we want others to feel good around us, but first we have to help ourselves and we need to feel good so we can be of service for others. And like that's a big thing to me, man. Showing up for friends, showing up for family, like showing up with you here today, right? Like I got to be feeling good, even though, recuperating from COVID and all that, but mentally, spiritually feeling really, really good and able to really have this present, great conversation with you. And like, that's when I don't feel good. That's what bothers me most is I'm like with people that I love and I either can't connect with them or I don't feel good. So like feeling good, being yourself, super fucking important right there. So you're hitting on some great
Powerful.
things.
Powerful.
Right. So we are actually going to be ending in a few minutes. So I want to make sure we have time and make sure you have enough time to get to your event here with your friends. We're going to do a little giveaway here. It's going to be with our sponsor, and it's going to be Genuine Ginger. It's going to be a one. And let me take a step back too to talk about our permanent sponsor, which is V Driven. They're a CPG partner for emerging purpose-driven brands. They basically help you with your growth, with your sales. I mean, Luke Abbott, the CEO, is so damn smart that he's going to help you hop on the phone with you and consult you to have a better business that will break through to more shelves and also break through to more customers. They also do trade spend deduction and all that other stuff, right? Which is boring but necessary. So, but they just love helping brands. They love helping people, and they're very founder centric. They love working with founders. So that's vdriven.com. I'm going to put that right in the comments here. So let me just do that. And again, make sure to reach out to Dan Crothers. I'm going to put the link up one more time. A great life coach that I'm currently working with. He also has a mastermind group starting in January. So that's another thing he's doing. And I'm going to be a guest speaker for his mastermind group with a bunch of different CPG founders that will be part of his program. So make sure to check that out. And there's the link right there. Copy and paste it. All right. So Genuine Ginger, our sponsor for this week, and then we'll send you off on your way, Jake. So basically, they're a social media boutique agency. They do it for a very affordable rate. They do all the stuff. I don't have to explain social media to Jake here, but it's basically they're really flexible. They're great people, and they will do some of the photo shoots for you. They will get the content and do the posting and manage it for a very affordable price that most people can't afford the big agencies. So she's right in the middle there, not a single person, but not a big agency, right in the middle, that sweet spot for the brands. So she's going to do a 1-hour consultation call. Hopefully, maybe she offers some kind of discount. We don't know, but maybe once you talk with her, she'll offer you some kind of great deal for social media consultation and management. So that's the prize on the line. Jake, do you have a question in mind? Something that you mentioned?
Okay, yeah, I've got one. What was the weird thing I did for an investor in our first investors meeting?
Okay. The one that I brought up or the previous one?
Yeah. No,
okay.
The one that you brought up.
All right. So what? And by the way, if you are not a brand, you can gift that consultation session from Genuine Ginger to someone else. And what I'm going to do too, man, I'm not going to have you send it, is I'm going to throw in, I'll think about it, but I think I'll throw in also 6 bars of Midday Squares, and I will send it out.
I will help you. I'll send it out.
Okay, you want to match it? You'll match it.
Yeah, I'll match it.
So I'll send some out. I'll buy it from Target or Sprouts around here, and which they're all in stock now, by the way. They're
Thank God. Finally.
All right. So the answers here, we got the Backstreet. That was the other one.
Yep.
It was the Boombox Dancing.
Yes, he got it right.
That's it.
Gavin, baby, legend, absolute beauty. That guy's a gem.
Oh yeah.
He's a hustler too.
Oh yeah. So so Gavin, you know the drill. cpgvibes100@gmail.com, and we'll get some bars to you. We'll get the introduction to Michelle at Genuine Ginger, and we'll be good to go. And it's 3:15 on the dot. So good stuff, man. Well, always good rapping with you, brother. And thanks again for being on our show, CPG Vibes. We'll be back next week. Wade will be back. Right now, he's going to be boarding a boat for Project Nosh. So he's also at the event. So that's why he wasn't able to join us. But we'll be back next week, December 8th, with Wade and myself. Jake.
Love it.
Love you,
Appreciate
brother.
you, Alex. Love everyone here. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everyone.